Project Blue, a Punch Girl short story by J. M. Riley. Chapter 1. Dr. Sarah Chen worked hard and built a career and a life for herself. She far exceeded her parents' meager immigrant dreams, and the second she acknowledged that, it all fell apart. She may need to move back in with them. It came from nowhere. Downsizing. She had risen to the director level as a materials scientist and engineer with a private military contractor doing innovative top-secret work from her own lab. Now it's gone. Didn't they know she had unpaid school loans? 4 months ago, she bought a condo, her own home. What about that? Government-funded enterprises inhale and exhale like living organisms, swelling and shrinking with each breath, timed particularly to administration changes, so the cutbacks themselves didn't surprise Sarah. Her cutback surprised her. The director level and above should have immunity from routine business churn. What about research continuity? Who will take over her lab? Her mother and father started by blaming themselves. The company fired her because she's Chinese. Sarah reminded her parents that she is American without Chinese citizenship, and they shifted their tone to optimism. She has a doctorate. She can get another job. If only... Sarah spared her parents the corporate politics and the black mark her release will smear on her resume, and she settled for the adage, a rising tide lifts all boats. It sinks them, too. All the companies in her sector breathe at the same rate. They all hire and fire at the same time. The applicant pool is more competitive now than ever, and the limited seats compound that. Right when she thought she had hit her stride, the budgeting and the job search began right away. Sarah worked herself to this position once, and she could do it again, but her time as a purposeful, employed person had erased the memory of the soul-chipping life of a job applicant. The distance, the outsider's longing, and the draining self-worth all reappeared and fought for her attention. Early mornings of exercise, breakfast, and laser focus soon unspooled under the steady weight of bills, solitude, and time. Sarah woke later in the day with less motivation, and the more she chastised herself for becoming the guest of honor at her own daily pity party, the less effect her words had. This circumstance wouldn't last forever, but she needed to outlive it. She started researching real estate values and calculating credit card interest. After 3 a.m., Sarah slides into bed and opens her laptop to complete her twice-daily check of the job sites. Whether this is last night's check or tomorrow morning's, Sarah can't say, but it doesn't matter because the results are the same. Static. Nothing. She might as well view a screenshot. The employment sites must have passed her email address along because her inbox overflows with offers to help her on her weight loss journey, protect her credit, and increase her auto warranty. Super. Sarah clears the garbage one click at a time, tap, 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 sending each to the trash. Endless. Tap, 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 tap. Wait. Undo. The previous message reappears and Sarah squints at it. It's an offer? She scans, reading with intent now. They know who she is, who she worked for, her background. Who are they, though? The message includes unusual specs for a protective garment, but it lists no applications. Instead, it says the garment should be impact-resistant beyond military grade, whatever that means. It should have flexibility for extreme mobility, integrated electronics with secondary expansion capability, onboard ventilation, and temperature regulation. For what? A moonwalk? A stroll along the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Sarah suspects a prank. Unfunny, but also unserious. The return email address, a series of encrypted symbols, seconds that. Also, not. A prankster, a former coworker, any jokester, wants an audience. They would make the return address traceable so they could point and laugh after Sarah followed it. Would a hacker or malware distributor go to the effort of personalizing their messages? Sarah might welcome identity theft. You want Sarah Chen's identity? It's all yours, sucker. The button at the end of the email invites her to learn more, including the offer amount and the terms of acceptance. Sarah chuckles at her lonely bedroom, lit by her laptop in the dead of night, and clicks. Why not? Who cares? The first image to hit Sarah's eyes is the number, and it sends a charge through her, straightening her spine. It also adds to the illusion. It's way too big. A payday like this would solve her problems for a long while. Several pages of technical specifications accompany a welcome letter, a description of anonymous cryptocurrency transfers and how to accept payment, and an NDA. Sarah studies the technical specs, and the reading excites her structural and materials intellect. This could work, but it's complex, far beyond anything she ever worked on, in part because the expense would prohibit mass production. So it's for one person? Or a few? Astronauts? Is this NASA? Is it foreign? Sarah sits back against her pillows, while her intelligence battles with caution. She wants to work on this, but should she? She rereads the terms, and the agreement provides an upfront payment. The money would buy her time, if it arrived. If not, what does she lose? She can take baby steps to limit her liability and exposure. At least it's something to do. Chapter 2. Before the down payment arrived, Sarah set up a second bank account at her current bank, unconnected to her checking account. Within 24 hours, she followed the instructions that came with the crypto transfer, and she redirected the payment. 24 hours after that, the money still sat there on her account screen, as it had each hour before when she checked to verify. The windfall smiled at her like a genie who granted her dearest wish. But genies are sneaky. They can lie, so Sarah put hers to the test. She scheduled an online payment for one of her many overdue bills and waited. It went through. Another test yielded another success. In the cautious interim, the specifications and requirements for the protective garment tickled Dr. Sarah Chen's inquisitive mind, and she couldn't help studying them. Now that the money has arrived and proven itself stable and useful, Sarah dismisses her reservations and faces the design head-on. Whoever her employer is deserves at least that much. From her desk in her condo, Sarah inputs the materials specifications into a program on her laptop. The software takes known materials and applies sets of stress tests across various applications determined by the user. The engineer sets the constraints and desired balance of outcomes, including complexity, stability, feasibility, and cost, so the program can run simulations on any structural issue from a railroad bridge to a rocket. If successful, the preliminary results require further data and lab testing, but Sarah's data falls short of even that low benchmark. Total fail. Too expensive, too hot, too brittle, too everything. She checks her inputs, adjusts her constraints, and runs the program again, getting even worse results. She sits back with her hands flat on the desk. Slow down. In her excitement, she raced for the answer, plugging materials and values into the system, hoping for green pass labels all the way down. But her new employer wouldn't go to the trouble of hiring her under such secretive conditions if a first-year graduate student could solve the problem. They also would not have included data from earlier field tests. Sarah clicks on the data set within a folder, and a series of spreadsheets populates her screen. She clicks through, and much of the data repeats. These are prototype field tests, many iterations of similar designs with varying success rates. Several tests, most, display limited data, indicating early failure. A few longer data sets promise better results, but in each case, at least one parameter fell short. Weight, mobility, durability, and others percolated along the charts from left to right until one of them fell over the cliff, plummeting to zero and ending the experiment. The final two sheets account for more data than all the others combined. The designers got creative with materials, alloys, and even basic physics, and Sarah leans forward, squinting at her screen, immersing herself in the data. Her lab would never have allowed this. These designs would never have gathered field data because no one would have allowed them in the field. This is not the government. Or if it is, someone is operating way off the books. The spreadsheets make two things clear, and those things conflict. Field test data was collected from real-world combat scenarios, and a single person performed the tests. If not a single person, a single protective garment, which amounts to the same thing. Who enters real-world combat scenarios alone? Days of switching between past data sets and her own fresh results yield frustration and disappointment. Remove a parameter here, lessen a constraint there, and the solution springs free. Pass, 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 pass. Green all the way down the line. Put them back, and fiery, angry red scolds Sarah for being stubborn and stupid. It's an impossible problem. Maybe that's what the genie's grin was about. The long game. Draw her in, trap her, and torture her. On the other end, her tormentors must be laughing up a storm. A wakeful night separated by brief periods of vivid dreams of armor and war and convoluted blueprint drawings delivers Sarah to her laptop, exhausted. Later she will credit that fatigue with her first breakthrough, but for now, she stares at the two semi-successful datasets with a blank mind. The creative steps the designers took made no sense before, like lucky guesses. But with no preconceived expectations blocking Sarah's view, the threads connecting them appear. They weren't inventing something new. They were repurposing what they had. The horse and the wheel become the car and the bird become the plane. A phone and a computer? An iPhone. Within hours, Sarah finds a hidden path. Rearranged, the current materials yield different, useless results. The impossible problem remains. What if the materials changed, though? What if they combined, trading two variables for one? The puzzle lies outside the limits of Sarah's materials program, forcing her to work from scratch. The feared blank slate. But the excitement of discovery pushes her fear aside, and she works through the night. By the next morning, she sits back, probing her discovery for weaknesses. A revolutionary carbon fiber weave was not enough. The pattern made it work. Like a knot tied in a rope, different configurations yield varieties of uses, but the rope never changes. A square knot, a bowline, a half hitch, a noose. The loops and bends change strength and flexibility, and those patterns determine the material's purpose. An army of insect legs climbs Sarah's spine, tingling with the revelation. The problem had two facets, and like finding a trapdoor in a treasure room leading to a second treasure room, she found both. The universe shared a secret with her. There could be more. Sarah blinks at the sunlight slanting through her blinds, returning her to the world. How much time has passed since she started? Are her mysterious benefactors expecting updates? Did they make small payments to several engineers, planning to continue with the most promising design? Is she racing in a materials science derby? Has she already lost? She opens the link in the contractor's original communication packet and sends an optimistic message, detailing her findings. Her buoyant attitude comes from the heart, but she still polishes her posts with enough sales energy to keep them interested. She hopes. For the rest of the day, no reply comes, but by morning, a second crypto payment arrives. That's all Sarah needed. If she's in a derby, she is leading. Chapter 3. The theoretical material phase leads Sarah to the step of prototype manufacturing. She doesn't need to construct the finished garment because single components followed by connected ones will produce enough data to tell her whether to keep going or change direction. One problem, though, without a lab, there is no prototype manufacturing stage. Her findings will stay as theoretical as the numbers on her spreadsheets. She never expected to get this far, not because she thought she would try and fail, but because she had no plan. The job surprised her, and the hoops her employer guided her through distracted her enough to focus on the task at hand. Then she constructed her own obstacles by putting herself in competition with other hidden engineers. But did she do that? Or did they? Sarah leans back in her ergonomic mesh-back desk chair and shifts her eyes out her second-floor window, past the horizontal blinds, over the green treetops, and into the blue beyond, focused on nothing. No one mentioned other material scientists, but it makes sense. Someone worked on this project before it found her. Hence, the data. If she stumbles, someone else will work on it after her. That person will take her breakthrough and build on it, Their success will shower them with glory and 100% of the credit. The signed NDA ensures she will have nothing to say about it. Who operates like this? Deliberate or not, they have created a toxic work environment. They must understand they are communicating with intelligent people who can connect complicated dots, but even a simpleton would recognize this picture. A secret group has been working on emerging technology, and they need fresh eyes. Hers will not be the last eyes they need, unless she shepherds this project to completion. She needs a plan, less reaction, more strategy. Do they know she has no lab? No job? They must. Is that part of the test? Her own wording disturbs her. Test, competition, credit. She shifts her eyes to her desk surface and searches it for answers. Her internal alarm is sounding. Not a red alert, but yellow, and she should listen. Something about this assignment has activated her survival instinct. She could quit, take the money and run, so to speak. The completed payments give her enough breathing room to make sound decisions about her life and career, and nothing in the contract says that any of the installments are refundable. If this mystery group wanted to come after her to reclaim the cash, the legal process would force them to reveal themselves, which they are reluctant to do. Then what? Is this fear or fear of moving forward? The latter means contacting her old coworkers and begging to freelance in her old lab. After a few minutes of watching the scales balance, Sarah has no answer. Several more minutes reveal that it's both. She fears failing twice, getting fired again, and being rejected. If she addressed one side of the equation, it might give her the courage to face the other. She scoots forward in her chair and clicks the encrypted message link, composing a single-line query. Am I the only one working on this? Sarah expects to wait at least 24 hours for a reply, but when she returns from a walk and a quick trip to the grocery store, a message awaits her. That should make no difference. You're doing well. Please proceed. Sarah's neck flushes with heat. It should make no difference? To them, maybe. It makes plenty of difference to her. She taps a speedy reply. It's important to me. Please answer the question. She hits send, and in the immediate vacuum, she regrets it. She should have waited a beat. The message pulses with anger. She's acting like a child. The reply message freezes her. She clicks and reads. Your success is important to us. You have all the time you need and all the resources we can offer. We sought your expertise for a reason, but we cannot discuss the scope of our business in writing. Can we talk? No. They already think she's a desperate, immature baby. Might as well give them the complete show. Are you going to fire me? The answer takes a full half hour to arrive, and during that time, Sarah loses 5 pounds of underarm sweat. Dr. Chen, together we are working on a life-saving device. Many, many people will feel the effects of our effort firsthand, without ever knowing our names. They will only know that their lives are immeasurably better, richer, and more hopeful. That type of endeavor requires a light-hearted openness that rarely exists in the cynical business world, even in academia. Working for money, credit, and fame are understandable, but it is a unique few who withstand the dark songs of those sirens. Ultimately, even the most successful in those areas lack one thing they can never accumulate: purpose. In reviewing your experience, both personal and professional, we saw a frankness in you, an awareness of possibility, and a receptiveness to new ideas that indicates a search for more, for understanding. Dare I say purpose? When your short-sighted employer downsized you, their loss was our gain, yours as well. Rather than fear another loss, I suggest you uncork a bottle of champagne. This is possibly the most significant event in your career. Will you embrace it? Now, knowing that, ask your question again. Are we going to fire you? The message ends there without answering the question, so Sarah rereads it. It answers, and it doesn't. The entire reply is a digital hug, but goddamn if it doesn't work. Despite her academic viewpoint, her heart pumps slow, confident beats, her relaxed shoulders hang, and air enters her lungs in full, nourishing breaths, exhaling fear and stress. What the hell? Sarah chuckles. They got her good. How could she live with herself if she quit now? By the afternoon, she arranged to meet one of her former lab techs for dinner, baiting her friend with a snippet of her carbon fiber weave breakthrough, and Isha slides into her seat already talking. You made that up. There's no way you're working on that. Sarah grins and says, Hi, Isha. How are you? How is it working for Raphael? Are you serious? He's a moron with a god complex. There should be a diagnosis for that. Who are you working for? Hire me. Okay, there is a diagnosis. It's called narcissism. The server stops to take their drink order, and Isha orders 2 drinks for herself and adds several appetizers to the server's list. After the server departs, Sarah says, I can't hire you, but you could help me. Yes. You don't even know what I want. I don't care. It's bound to make Raph look stupid and me look cool. I'm in. Sarah explains her project in general terms, borrowing from the original documents her employer sent to her. Isha's nose scrunches, and she recoils as if a camel sneezed in her face. You want to use the lab. Only at night. You're asking to use my pass. The system will log the hours. Yes, but you'll get credit for working overtime. How conscientious of you. I'm sure they'll notice at the next round of downsizing. What about materials? The company tracks inventory loss. I am only making small prototypes. I'll order the materials and send them to my house. It's better to keep the company out of it as much as possible. Isha's eyes narrow. Who are you working for? I can't say. The answer floats between the 2 women, shifting in meaning and importance. I don't work for anyone if I can't test my data. Isha sits back and crosses her arms. They could fire me. I'll be careful, and at the first sign of trouble, I'm gone. I'll take any responsibility with Raphael. $100? Sarah recoils. What? $100. What about getting fired? I don't care about any of that, but my sister's birthday is coming up, and she's one of those great gift givers. She always gives everyone exactly what they want, even if they didn't know they wanted it. It's annoying. Anyway, with $100 extra, I could at least outspend her. 1,000 questions about Isha's relationship with her sister form a line in Sarah's throat, but she swallows them and settles for the less interesting but more functional $100. Done. Cool, we're in biz. Who are we working for? Sarah reaches for a rehash of her original vague answer, but Isha's question strums a familiar chord. Sarah wouldn't mind knowing that either. She doesn't need to know, but she would like to. Her eyes widen with an idea, and the jolt lifts her chin. Didn't you date an analyst at the company? Isha gasps in pain. I dated 2 analysts at the company. Roommates, it turns out. Not at the time, after. They bonded over our shared failure. Now they love each other, and I'm alone. Don't get me started. Could they decrypt an email? Are you kidding? They're barely human. They're like sentient computers with boob fixations. They can decrypt anything for $100. Another 100? I'm going to blow my sister out of the water. But you trust these guys? If they come through, we'll know who we're working for. Isha rubs her fingertips against her thumb, signaling her desire to get paid. Can they crack this? They can crack anything. Sarah reaches for her phone. Do you take Venmo? Chapter 4. Over the next several days, Sarah's mind and body drift in a haze of constant exhaustion as she transitions to night shift work. Soon she settles into the vampire hours, appreciating the reduced traffic and private grocery shopping. Her work steadies her, even if the results fall short. In theory, she had solved the problem of too many variables, but when thought met reality, one prototype after another failed. Too rigid, too soft, tensile weakness, overheating, too bulky. The stress of failure returned like a python draped over her shoulders. Heavy, tightening, whispering defeat in her ear. Her expenses were adding up too. She ordered components in small lots the most expensive way, and each failure forced her to place a new order. She tracked her costs, planning to file an expense report when she completed the job, but if she never finished, she might get stuck with the bill. At the end of this, she could be back where she started, adding an unexplained classified absence to her already tarnished resume. Sarah's fascination with her anonymous client propels her, and the continuing mystery only feeds that. Isha is no help at all. One evening, as if continuing their conversation from the restaurant, she calls and says, "They can't crack it." "Isha?" "Yeah. You asked if they could crack the email? They can't. I'm remembering now why I broke up with them. The word decrypt never came up, but threesome did. They're a couple of slobbering dorks. I'm thinking about reporting them to HR." A human resources report would splash Sarah in a hurry. "Please don't." "Not to win. They'd get out of it, but it would be a major hassle. I'd be fine." "I wouldn't." "Oh, yeah. Still, I would be forced to tell them about you renting me your badge." Isha giggles and says, "You dark witch. I knew it. It's always the quiet ones." "So you'll leave it alone?" "We'll see." Isha cuts off the call, and Sarah has heard nothing from her since. She dismisses her HR concerns and accepts the continuing mystery. Who needs extreme protection, incredible mobility, offensive and defensive capability, alone? Who pays for it? Not the military. The military operates in specialized silos. Infantry overwhelms with numbers. Snipers shoot long distances. Pilots fly. No one does everything. Is this suit a paradigm shift? Is it non-military? Something else? The work continues, and as 6 nights become 16, Sarah's fatigue and resolve travel in inverse directions. Nothing works. Every iteration repeats the last. Something in her data is wrong. She may need to start over. She can't use her old lab forever, and the Python squeezes and whispers. They won't have to fire you. You're firing yourself. The breakthrough comes the next night when Sarah gives up. Angry, she grabs a piece of the engineered fabric and wads it like newspaper, or she would have if the fabric would agree. The material resists, refusing to crumple, as if it realizes its fate, and Sarah fights it. She will not allow this useless, inanimate collection of molecules to defeat her, a self-actualized human being. The struggle lasts a few moments before Sarah pauses, staring at the frustration in her hands. She designed the material to stiffen on impact and otherwise remain flexible, but she couldn't trust it. Rigid here, slack there, it had a mind of its own, making it unreliable as a protection device. Triggered at the wrong time, it could hinder the operator rather than assist. On a basic design level, she had envisioned a magician's trick wand. Stiff one moment, then limp, then stiff again. In the garment, the principle would work on a micro level. But unlike the magicians, Sarah meant the activation to be passive. Right now, though, it resists her, as it should. She activated the material, but far from fighting, the fabric was helping her, showing her. Was it communicating with her? Sarah returns the rigid material to her table, and before dawn she has her answer. The configuration is the key, the pattern. The magician's wand requires proper alignment to work, and the suit, constructed of thousands of tiny fiber-thin wands, is no different. Proper alignment, though, weakens the fabric below the project threshold. Sarah thought she couldn't make such a sacrifice, but she was wrong. The realignment reduces the theoretical strength of the material, but that's in theory. In practice, the fabric's impact response actually increases protection because the reaction, by design, times itself to the threat. In other words, the garment doesn't need to surpass the strength parameters. It doesn't need to be strong all the time. She can allow it to fail as long as it protects under duress. Otherwise, it relaxes. The material is weak when it needs to be, a failure. But under stress, its strength numbers far exceed the design specs, a significant win. Sarah steps back. Lose to win? It works. She did it. And again, the solution required a unique, nonlinear viewpoint. Did her employers know this about her when they hired her? She didn't. She tidies her former lab, and from home, she forwards her discovery and theorizes to herself about what they might think and how they will use it. 2 days pass in silence, and Sarah's victorious and inquisitive thoughts metastasize. She missed something. She blew it. That's it. They moved on. A day later, another payment arrives with a door code and an address. Sarah travels to an empty parking lot in a sketchy part of town, facing a moody building. She enters, checking over her shoulder, and follows the hallway to the specified suite. A keypad invites her to enter the code, and the door handle releases with a soft chime. Sarah leans, entering with caution, but her fear fades and she laughs out loud. They haven't moved on. They bought her a lab. Chapter 5. Another set of garment specs arrives, allowing Sarah to proceed with the development of a full prototype. Days later, an unscheduled message halts her work. The post contains a data packet like the original ones, but a quick review shows Sarah something new. She reads it and reads it again, her mouth opening in surprise. This is real-world test data. They are testing her design. It means they are working with someone else, a manufacturer at least, and the realization stings. It also conflicts. They bought her a lab. That's a commitment, right? Now they're sharing her designs? The test data includes feedback, requests for design revisions, and the new information clouds Sarah's rational mind. She stands and walks to the window, overlooking a vacant strip of cracked asphalt parking lot, an abandoned railroad spur, and brown scrub brush stretching to the horizon. They manufactured her design, tested it, documented the results, revised and returned the data in days? Who is this? The facts align into columns in Sarah's mind, aiming for a sum. They have money, they want privacy, and they have the technical ability to maintain it. Time matters, but so does accuracy. They urged her in both directions at once. Sarah clicks through past messages until she finds her employer's note of encouragement. She scans, and the line she remembers jumps out at her. Many people will feel the effects of our effort firsthand without ever knowing our names. They will only know that their lives are immeasurably better, richer, and more hopeful. So the secrecy extends to everyone, everywhere. This is good and worthwhile work, but we can't talk about it. With the military already crossed off the list, that constraint also rules out governments and everyone else. Except a vigilante. Not Brightman. He's too experienced, and he's been around so long rumors have circulated that he might retire anyway. His activity spawned others, but Sarah was too busy with her own work to follow the adventures of a bunch of Comic-Con wannabes. She never even watches action movies. She moves to her desk and sits in front of her laptop. A quick search reveals multiple vigilantes, both good and bad, who rose and fell over the years. Brightman fostered some of them, but most disappeared. The remaining few have none of the infrastructure Sarah's mysterious employer has displayed. Unless they do. A clever person would disappear, drop off the radar, and come back stronger. They would operate from shadow and surprise their opponents. Stealth, power, offense, defense, life, death. The message said, their lives are immeasurably better, richer, and more hopeful. This is a vigilante, and a good one. A hero, not a villain. Punch Girl? According to the internet, she is local, but that's irrelevant. Sarah's employers could be on the moon, and she would have no way of knowing. Sarah reads multiple message board posts, third-hand accounts of Punch Girl sightings peppered with speculation and opinion, and accepts the thesis. Say it is Punch Girl. What is she helping to create? What ripples would Dr. Sarah Chen send into the world with her work? Is she enabling something dangerous? Will her gifted mind set up a line of dominoes that tumbles into catastrophe? What responsibility does she have? Rather than mulling a nebulous answer, Sarah works, incorporating concrete test data into her design, and she grins. When she finishes, a tuning fork sounds inside her, and her smile widens. This is good. She was meant to do this. Even if someone else fabricates her design, it's her design. How many engineers in the world could have developed it? 20. 10? Fewer? No one can steal that creative pride. A text from Isha interrupts Sarah's moment, and the message's chilly forward urgency sweeps the warmth of accomplishment from her body. We need to talk. Sarah sends her latest design specs via encrypted message and leaves to meet Isha. Chapter 6. Isha insisted on meeting in person right away. She gave map coordinates, and Sarah followed them to a downtown parking garage. On the last level before the roof, Sarah parks her car and searches for her friend, who steps from behind a pillar, moving from shadow to light. Sarah raises her palms to the ceiling and says, "What's with the cloak and dagger?" "Shh." Isha's frantic hand beckons Sarah closer. Sarah drops her arms and crosses the concrete. "What are you doing? We're not spies." "The company purged your data." The muscles in Sarah's face release, and her hands and feet disappear, numb. Spider fingers march across her shoulders. "What does that mean?" "They have it. I covered for you. I told them it was something I was working on, but they have it. They're developing it." "Have it? Developing?" The disconnected phrases and Isha's panic cross Sarah's wires, sparking a short circuit in her cerebrum. "What?" "It's my fault. It was Tony and Tommy. I never should have trusted them." "Who?" "Tony and Tommy in data analysis." "The email hackers? How? You said they couldn't crack it, and I also purged my data in the lab." "Remember I told you they were useless? Well, they didn't crack the message encryption, and they didn't purge their attempt from the system. It popped up in a departmental audit, and when their bosses questioned them about it, they ratted me out." "But my data was gone." Isha chuffs a laugh through her nose. "That's what I said. It was something I was working on that didn't pan out, blah, blah, blah. But my boys weren't done making me regret, everything, life. They made up for their ineptitude with their sniveling. Morons that they are, they suggested they could recover the data." Sarah closes her eyes. Purged data sits in storage for 30 days before destruction. It's a failsafe meant for emergencies. Millions of files clutter the digital limbo, and someone would need specific file data to find anything, so she never considered that anyone would. But they did. No wonder Isha didn't want to tell her over text. "The bosses like it. They're running with it. I'm their new golden girl, which is nice, since Raphael hates it, but it's not like I know what I'm talking about." Sarah flinches. "What are you talking about? Are there concerns?" Isha nods. "They're making modifications. It's unstable." "How?" "What do I know? Something about electrocution. It's too conductive? Polar? I don't know. She just sent modifications of her own. Now, the company has fabricated multiple components of her previous design, if not the full garment. Does her design have the same instability as theirs? It must. She hasn't addressed electrocution. They have made enough to test, and they have fast-tracked the project. If her old company brings her design to market, no amount of explaining will save her from her mysterious employer. The encrypted messages will deliver a far different tone from the digital encouragement she was getting. That's if Sarah is lucky. If she's not, she will just get a visit in the night from an angry, armored vigilante. Sarah says, "Electrocution is a big word. What are we talking about? Static? Accumulated charge? A wearable electric chair? Is it a lightning rod?" Isha raises her hands and shrugs. Sarah's client has been testing her designs in the real world. They will test the latest one. If the prototype kills someone, then what? Does this all end with her in prison? She must contact her employer, but doing so means confessing. Her former company has more staff, minds, and equipment. They will crunch the numbers, reduce the cost, and beat her to market. Their sales teams are probably talking to institutional buyers already. Not only that, they might resolve the electricity issue before Sarah, leaving her trailing with an inferior product. That's doom. Flaws, security stumbles, unprofessionalism. She's like a teenager building a rocket in her parents' garage and stamping her feet that NASA chose Boeing over her. She would too, and if she made the mistake of engaging Dr. Sarah Chen, Incorporated, she would correct that error toot sweet. A closed door pulses in front of her, swelling, straining to hold back the flood of problems behind it. If she opens it, the torrent will knock her flat, wash over her, and bury her. She could spend the rest of her life trying to swim out. She could also say nothing. Solve the electrical problem in the suit, and when the closed door springs open on its own, play dumb. Align with her client. How could this have happened? We should recover what's ours. Toss doubt into the water and churn like mad. So, tell everything or rush a full prototype and brace for the inevitable questions? Option 2 minimizes both the long and short-term damage, except for one significant variable. If someone suffers injury or death, all paths lead to oblivion. Call that option 3. It's unfair. They chose this disconnected relationship. She was desperate and had no lab to complete the task they assigned, so they set her up to fail. This is a business relationship, which they made clear from the start. She bears no personal responsibility here. She doesn't even know who she works for. The money is hers. She earned it. Sarah did the best she could working in good faith, and she will continue to do so. She never cut corners, but sometimes luck plays more of a part than anyone would like. Everyone is better off on the same side. If, God forbid, this ever landed in court, Sarah could explain her process, and her employer's money would buy the kinds of lawyers capable of giving her testimony a kick. Isha would lose her job. She might testify to save herself, and Sarah wouldn't blame her. The legal mire would ensnare them for years. The stress would end their budding friendship. It could be much worse than that. Sarah is well aware of her romantic view of the world. She assumes positive outcomes will prevail, which prevents her from spotting dangers others see. What she is considering already looks dangerous. That's without considering the vigilante angle. A rogue predator with a personal vendetta? No, that's not okay. Sarah rubs both hands over her face, and when she lowers them, her eyes find Isha's, and shame burns in her cheeks. The answer stood up front all along. It's the wrong thing to do. Deceit, dishonesty, lawyers. It's selfish and irresponsible. Sarah pulls her friend close and hugs her. Into Isha's hair, she says, "I'll take care of it." After several moments, Isha adjusts herself against Sarah's shoulder and says, "This is weird. You're not thinking we're going to do stuff, are you?" Sarah releases and steps back. "No. I mean, no, not because of you, not because of us. You know, me and you. No stuff." "That makes total sense. Thank you for clearing that up." "Isha, whatever they ask you, don't cover for me. Say whatever you want." "I'm covering for me, sis." "Do that. All I'm saying is, I'll take responsibility." "What are you going to do?" Chapter 7. Sarah resists hugging Isha again before retreating to her car. She drives to her lab, composes a thorough message, editing out judgment for any parties, finishes with a second warning about the design flaw, and sends. She waits, hoping for a quick reply, but when the minutes stretch, she closes the message window and gets to work. Her labor carries her through the night and into the next morning, and she arrives at the worst possible news. Under the right conditions, the suit will incapacitate or even kill the wearer. A proper corporate quality control step would have avoided this, but Dr. Sarah Chen can only do so much on her own. It's no excuse, though, especially if someone dies. Between breaks to sip room temperature coffee or nibble an energy bar from her bag, Sarah checks her messages. Hours pass with no reply, and Sarah envisions the worst. It happened, and everyone is aligning against her. After they grieve, of course. Sarah sleeps for a few hours on her coat, covering a rubber floor mat, and awakens in the dark. She presses to her feet, brittle muscles crackling, and shuffles to the light switch. She squints at the harsh glare and wonders what day it is. At her desk, her laptop tells her. She should have heard from her employer long ago. She stares and waits, urging a response to appear, but the message window mocks her. Work is her only refuge, but she must decide how far back to go. Is this an edit or a brand new design? Does it even matter? With no answer for the second question, Sarah answers the first. It's an edit unless it's a brand new design. Hours later, the answer, like so many things, is a bit of both. Like a city, the suit must generate and distribute power in varying quantities where it is needed. She already solved generation with onboard batteries, powered by conventional sources along with a prototype kinetic energy storage unit, but distribution proved less predictable. Energy, like water, finds the most efficient path to its destination, and several paths within the suit created feedback loops. The smart fabric that Sarah designed to stiffen on impact drew power spikes under testing that shut down critical components and even melted the fabric. Sarah lowered her head, stared at the problem, and for the next 45 hours she never looked up. By the time she did, her woozy mind was unsure of what she had accomplished, but her blurry eyes and scrawled notes told her she had developed a network of programmable carbon nanotubes. The microscopic structures accepted input and changed their electrical properties on command. If they overheated, they oversupplied power elsewhere, like a power grid, rerouting to the batteries or other areas of the suit. These nanotubes could be woven into the fabric. Adaptive power routing created micropathways to assist with rerouting. Predictive load management detected motion and prepositioned the nano network to handle power surges. Self-healing circuits bypass damaged nanotubes, forming new connections and hardening the suit's electronics against destruction. Dynamic capacitance allowed energy to fluctuate within a wider natural range. Stepping back, Sarah blinks at her breakthrough. She set out to solve an electronics issue, but something different popped out the other end. This isn't her design, improved. It's an improved design. This is a better suit. Stronger, more flexible, more mobile, more protective. Powerful. From the parts in her lab, Sarah constructs a prototype plate and performs a range of elemental tests. Every test returns green. Check, 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 check. No red at all. Anyone wearing this protective garment becomes a dangerous force. A platoon of wearers would change urban warfare. Sarah's wish for dubious credit fades into the distance. Still, she would like to know who will wear this, and she has a plan to find out. Chapter 8. Sarah sends her latest packet of specifications with a demand. A safety component, which she must construct, completes the suit. She needs to hand it over and explain it in person. After she fidgets with the clunky wording, she hits send and drives home to sleep. When she awakens, unaware of time or date, she lies in bed, staring at the blank ceiling. Whatever happens, she did it. She did something no one else could do, and the satisfaction fills her like Thanksgiving dinner. She's not expendable, not downsizable. Dr. Sarah Chen has a foothold in this world, and she will not forget it. She opens her eyes, and after washing her face and brushing her teeth, she takes a cup of tea to her desk and gets the first test of her new outlook. A message from her employer, instructing her where to leave the vital component. No face-to-face meeting. Nice try. They didn't use those words, but Sarah reads between the lines, and the sting hardens her resolve. She will find out who is using her design. The next day she returns home by lunchtime, ashamed. Her entire plan jumped the rails from the start. What was she thinking? She's no spy. She dropped the unnecessary part at the appointed location well ahead of her designated time window, and she waited in her car, watching like a fool. A baseball cap topped her head, maximizing her disguise. Who could possibly spot Dr. Sarah Chen in Dr. Sarah Chen's car with Dr. Sarah Chen's license plates in her super-secret hideout half a block away? A motorcycle courier ignored her, and everyone else collected the package and sped away. Sarah followed, hoping for a glimpse or a hint from the route, but the courier dropped the package off near a bus station and left. Sarah watched as a second courier collected the package, and she followed him, too. Several more transfers led to panic when she lost her prey, but she found them again and pursued. After another segmented circuit of the city, Sarah wondered whether these handoffs were a performance to satisfy her, but she never got her answer. As she drove, her attention wandered for a moment, and the latest courier was gone, swallowed by traffic. Sarah chuckled behind the wheel. Big surprise! Her client's massive operational security outwitted her mild curiosity. Back at home, a message awaits her in the encrypted window on her laptop. In it, her employer thanks her for her excellent work, even joking about the wisdom of not firing her, and he reminds her of their confidentiality agreement. The message instructs her to continue her work in the lab as long as she wants to, and it concludes with a link to the last payment on Sarah's contract, which she transfers. The lab is a gracious gift, but what work is she supposed to continue? Life moves on, and the walls of Sarah's condo press closer each day. She needs to find a job, a career, a purpose. This was a pleasant diversion, but the job boards await. Interviews, networking, the big schmooze, all of which can start tomorrow. Sarah stares at her computer screen, seeing nothing, and after a few moments, she scoots forward. She closes the message screen and searches the news for vigilante activity. She reads until hunger reminds her she has a body besides a mind, and she leaves the condo for the day. Over the next few weeks, Sarah rests and refuels, and her resume polishing splits time with vigilante study. An obvious pattern emerges, renewing her shame. She didn't need to follow couriers all over town. The answer is clear. It's Punch Girl. Others may not notice, but Sarah does. Punch Girl is using her suit, and it works perfectly. 3 weeks later, Sarah sits in a massive 2-story building lobby with a clipboard on her lap. Workers, vendors, and clients chatter and clack through the space past her as she finishes the prospective employee questionnaire. All 4 pages, both sides. She returns the paper to the receptionist, who offers her a polite smile and asks her to wait for her contact to collect her. Half an hour later, an administrative assistant greets her and escorts her upstairs to a conference room for her interview, where a casual discussion with her potential employer proceeds. Engineers, scientists, and other academics never lose the nerdy lack of cool that plagued them in high school, and that carries forward into adulthood. Even in the corporate world, slick talk and presentation of bankers and management consultants elude them. So Sarah came prepared to discuss her work. She opens her laptop and pauses. A message beckons, and her fingers tap it before she can stop them. It's from her mysterious employer. She has a message from Punch Girl. Is everything okay? Sarah's contact tips his head sideways in an empathetic gesture. The message contains specifications for more equipment, and the details grip Sarah's heart and attention. Sarah? Her eyes flick from her screen to her host and back. The interview is going well. She wants this job, and she can get it. This represents the career and stability she has searched for. Do you want to take a break? It's no problem. Sarah stares at her laptop and a smile tugs at her cheeks. Another assignment? She closes the screen and says, I have to go. Oh, okay. Do you want to reschedule? Thank you, but no, I think, yeah, I got another job. The end.